Yes.
Meeting one's beloved in this world is Visal.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Meeting one's beloved in this world is Visal, killer, because it is unreal love, and God and Masumin's love is real, correct?
Yeah.
Is love for one's children also Visal? And the question continues, then why do we have such strong love for our children like Prophet Yaqub had for Prophet Yusuf?
Yeah. Vesal is not only for worldly love. Vesal means reaching and meeting. When you meet your beloved, this is Vesal. For example, sometimes they say, Arif Vasil. This man was a mystic who reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who reached his aim. So Vesal means to meet and to reach your beloved. With respect to those types of love which comes from aql, from understanding, when you get closer and closer, you would not lose your interest, and the attraction becomes stronger and stronger. When it is for something worldly, then your attraction increases when you are away and when you have not yet met. Sometimes people really love each other. I'm not saying that they don't love each other. For example, a husband and wife, or parents and children, brothers, sisters, they really love each other. But as soon as they meet each other, it goes down. They are now relaxed. Alhamdulillah, I have my beloved with me. That burning eagerness is no longer there. But if love is produced from ma'rifah, and the beloved is the one that is through ma'rifah chosen, then meeting him would increase your interest, because now you can see him even better. In worldly love, normally you have better imagination than the reality. Most of the, if not all the pleasures of dunya are better when we think about them than the reality. When you reach them, it's not as good as we thought. You develop for yourself, an ideal, for example, person in mind, and you say, oh, that's great. But when we meet that person, it can be good, but it's not perfect, it's not ideal. So love goes down. But if we love something or someone for ma'rifah, when we meet that person, then our love should increase. Like, for example, I hear that there is, for example, a university, there's a hawza that I can study. They have good teachers, they have good program, they have a spiritual atmosphere. Okay, when I go there, should my interest come down? Or my interest should remain the same or even increase? Because now I see myself, good teachers, good program, atmosphere is spiritual. But if it was only emotional, and I was just stimulated by power of advertisement or, beautiful descriptions which were not real, then when I go there, even if it is good, I think, oh no, it's not what I expected. I expected more. In the case of love for children or parents or a spouse, yes, we can have genuine love. And our love for them can remain even when we are with them. But this love is not comparable to love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes you love your children, but not in the sense that you feel the only thing that gives meaning to your life and satisfies the deeper search, inner search for perfection through your children. It's just something that you love and you care, and your life without them would be very miserable, very painful. But it's not that you think that your entire life depends on them. With respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or people who love dunya, money, who love power, position, for them, this is what makes them happy in their life. This is what makes their life meaningful. Otherwise, their life has no value. Maybe for some people, they have such a thing about their children. They worship their children, for example. I don't know. But for sure, there are people who worship money, who worship power, who worship fame. And there are people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are people who somehow worship a woman or a man. Without that person, they cannot survive. But true and balanced love for husband, for wife, for children, for brothers and sisters is possible and can be very strong, especially if you see good qualities in them. Yaqub alayhi salam had 12 sons. It's not that he loved Yusuf because he was the eldest or youngest. To be eldest or youngest is not a good reason to say, I love this person more because the eldest or youngest. Or I love this one because he's most beautiful. No. Yusuf alayhi salam was loved by Yaqub the most because he was the most pious of them. He was the most humble of them. He was the one that was reminding Yaqub of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, this love is not a material or worldly love. Of course, even Yaqub has to be careful, and I am sure he was careful, not to make this something personal, not to let this affect his relation with other children. He has to find justice, he has to find the balance, he has to remain focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, sometimes when you have a very good child or very good, brother or sister, if you are not careful, you may start, giving more priority to this person than your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even you think it's a good reason. For example, imagine if Imam Hussein alayhi salam wanted to keep Hazrat Ali Akbar because he's such a pious, pure, young son of Imam who was reminding Imam of Prophet. So he could have said, I cannot see him being killed. I should save him. But Imam Hussein didn't think like this. Despite all the great love that he had, he didn't let it to become an obstacle, to become something that draws his attention away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, if for other people there was some hesitance, if his, for example, nephews were asking for permission and he was hesitant, for his own son, who was very special, you don't read that he was hesitant. So this shows that this was a real love because he knows that the best thing for this son is to be offered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as he himself has chosen. So love for children can be very, very good, very spiritual, but we have to be careful. Do we love them only because they are our children, or do we love them because they are blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we would love them more if they are good people, if they are humble, if they are moral, if they are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they are obedient, they are pious. So this is a kind of constant point for reflection. But till you come to conclusion, don't stop loving your children. Love them as much as you can. Show them love as much as you can without discriminating against anyone. And inshallah, in this process, try to purify and refine your love as much as you could.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
Yeah.
Question number 2 is actually related to the first question. It is usually the case that the more you love someone, the harder you work to get closer to them. Therefore, if we love Allah, we would do anything and everything to be near Him. Please advise as to the best way to increase our sincere love for Allah with some practical ways.
Very good. So these questions are, mashallah, very good, and they need independent sessions. But briefly, if we want to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, this was the question, yeah? How to love Allah more, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Because there is another question, how to be loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. But even if you want to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, so we have to do few things. One is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. The more we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more we love Him. Because He is absolutely perfect, absolutely good, absolutely beautiful, absolutely knowledgeable, powerful, merciful, all these things. The only reason why some people don't love Him or don't love Him a lot is because they don't know Him. You know, among human beings, there are people that if people know them, how sincere they are, how good they are, how kind they are, how generous they are, everyone would love them, even non-believers. What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If even non-believers knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way that He is, not in the way that some people introduce Him, all would love Him. So we have to know Him more. Secondly, if we don't act piously and we don't obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this creates a distance between us. You know, if I am a person who loves learning and I take lessons from my teacher seriously, I would love him more and more. But if I don't want to learn and I always find excuses not to follow him, not to take lessons, not to attend, gradually a distance will be created, and finally I would hate this teacher. Is a troublemaker. I wish he doesn't come to the class. Maybe sometimes there are students who even pray that their teacher dies so that for a few days they don't go to class. So by not showing interest and not following, psychologically a distance is created. So you cannot be bad and love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if you know Him. Like Shaitan. Shaitan knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very well. But because of rebelling against Allah and doing bad things, a distance is created by Shaitan. He doesn't love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes a lover, unfortunately, starts hating the beloved because of lack of understanding or because of thinking that he is not loved or becoming jealous. There have been people, for example, who wanted a girl to marry, and when the parents or the girl refused, they try to kill the girl. They try to, for example, pour acid on the face of the girl. Is this love? If you really love someone, even if that person would not accept to marry you, you wish him all the best. You pray for her or him. Anyway, so when we know Allah more and we try to obey him, we would be more able to love him. If we don't know him or we act against his will, a distance because of ignorance or because of impurity will be created between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third thing is to love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-muhibbu fillah, muhibbullah in Misbah al-Sharia. The one who loves for the sake of Allah is a lover of Allah. Love your parents for the sake of Allah. Love your husband or wife for the sake of Allah. Love your children for the sake of Allah. Love your brothers and sisters in faith for the sake of Allah. Love Imam for the sake of Allah. Then your love for Allah would increase. Anything good you do, especially if you love for the sake of Allah, it would add to your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. We have a couple of questions more to go, but at the same time, I'm a little aware of the time too.
Yeah.
It is nearing 9 o'clock, and we also know that you prefer to have an introduction with, or maybe even just the names of the participants. Would you like to continue with questions, or would you like to go ahead with the...
I think I would like to hear the names and greet them. But I am happy if question is asked also. I don't mind.
We will leave the questions for
you are the one to decide. I am at service.
We'll leave the questions for next time so that we can